Hey guys, this is JH recording a video tutorial for AEtuts.com. Today we're going to be taking a black and white scene and turning it into full color. We're also going to be doing object removal and just a couple of little cool techniques here and there. So the first thing we're going to do is add a null. Layer, new, null. Alright, and then we're going to go to the footage. Track motion, right click, track motion. You'll get a box. And then we need to move this box to some kind of contrasted point. These ledges are perfect. Maybe not perfect, but they'll work. I'm gonna go with something around there. That'll work for now. Just go ahead and edit target, null. Options, they look good. So let's make sure you're at the very beginning of the timeline before you analyze, or you'll miss tracking. So analyze forward. Go ahead and apply to X and Y. Boom, boom. Very good. Okay, so now that we got our tracking data, we can take this to the next level. The first thing we're gonna do is clone out this middle part, and then we're gonna go from there. So double click footage. Click on your clone stamp. Get you a circle, you know, big enough to get this little spot. Let's go ahead and bring the roundness down. I got roundness 50, hardness 70s, angle -60, 165, diameter 96. So what you want to do is hit the Alt button, get you a spot to clone. So we're going to clone right there. Click the mouse, slide over, click it again. Perfect. That looks pretty good, actually. But it usually never lines up that good, so what you do is you go down here in the paint to the clone, and you click path. That lets you move it around. It's like position almost. They actually do have position, so position, anchor point, scale, rotation, those are all in the clone properties. But for now, we're just going to use path. So Control D, duplicate the clone. Go down to path. Let's drag this bad boy over. Let's go ahead and duplicate again. Control D. Alright, see we're getting off a little bit. That's fine. Control D. We'll make our own ledge. Make it look fine. Alright. That looks pretty good. We can tidy it up later. Alright. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new solid. Doesn't matter what color. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a stroke where this line is so we can get really defined lines for this whole ledge part. Let's get a stroke color. It's gonna be dark gray. So we'll set up grab the pen tool, and what we're gonna do is make a little path right here. Alright, there we go. There's our line. So we'll do the same thing down here, another mask. And since we have all masks checked, it should automatically show up. Now depending on your shot, you know, you want to have to change the brush hardness, the opacity, all that stuff. But for now, that looks pretty good. The second part is we're going to paint out this this little bitty ledge right here, this middle ledge. So let's go to the paint tool. That diameter is pretty big. You want the diameter as big as you need it, because we're gonna bring this back in and mask it out anyway. So we got the paint tool. We're gonna pick a color, something pretty grimy, and then we're just gonna paint it out. Alright, now we need to save this paint. So what can we do? We can paint on transparent, which gives us just our strokes, and then we can click the transparency box, and then we need to save this out, and we're gonna save it as a ping with an alpha channel. You could save it as anything, a TIFF, anything with an alpha channel. Okay, so render, bring. All right, let's go back here, and now we can turn this paint off, because we already got it. So let's just go ahead and take those brushes off. So let's import the paint. All right, we're gonna bring that on top and we're gonna mask it out. Let's turn it off first so we can see what we're doing. Just a quick, easy, simple mask, nothing crazy. We could always go back and do all the fine detailing later. So we have that. Got our little paint there. Our ledge up here doesn't look right to me, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix that up a little bit. So let's go down here. So let's change it up. 3 path. So is it 3? Yeah, it's 3. 3 looks a little bit funny. Followed by 4. We're gonna have to just move these down a little bit. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so back to here. The paint looks really generic, so we're gonna have to add some grain and some noise and pretty much just a match grain. So let's go to the effects and presets, match grain. And what we want to do is the noise source layer is the black and white footage. So there we go. Viewing mode. Let's go ahead and put that on final output. See what we got here. We're just gonna go ahead and render this out again. I'm gonna turn the mask off as well because you always need to go back and fine tune stuff. So we're gonna render that out again. Bring. All right, so let's get rid of this one. Bring the other one back in. Ledge with grain, that's fine. Bring her back in on top. And let's mask her out. Alright, let's load her back up. She looks pretty ugly, to be honest. So let's give her a feather. Maybe 4 pixels. See the little bulb popping out of the bottom? That's no problem. Because we're going to have to clone this part out anyways, again. And that's going to fall into the next cloning. Alright. Another thing is these pigeons. I want to go ahead and get rid of these pigeons while I'm thinking about them. So let's duplicate the footage. Get the mask tool. And all we're going to do is just take a chunk of the brick wall up here and move it down here and mask it into place. And then attach that to the null with our tracking data. You don't really want pigeons floating around in your scene, crapping on things, and they're pretty ugly creatures, to be honest. So we're getting them out of here. Go ahead and find you a little spot right about there. We're just gonna mask this out. Nothing too crazy. Alright, and then I'm just gonna move that down over the top of the pigeons. And then we just need to add some mask points. Boom, 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 and boom. And then we just need to fill them in. Much better. Looks perfect. Alright, now what we're gonna do is save that out as a ping. Boom. Put her, attach her to the null. Everything gotta go to the null. So we've got rid of the pigeons. We started our ledge clone. We've got our paint. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is, since the same exact steps apply to this top part and this bottom part in the wall, is it's gonna take about 30 or 45 minutes to clone all this stuff out perfectly and add grain and add everything that we need to. So I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit. As you can see, I've already cloned and painted in the light post and took that out of there. It's exact same steps I showed before, so just for time reasons and I don't want to bore people. So one thing I did here was the wall. The wall, I cloned it out the same way we did the ledge. Then I took this brick wall image, I corner pinned it to fit over the top of the clones. So I went ahead and cloned it out, and then I brought in a brick wall image, and then I masked that part right there in the middle. And then of course you have to tint it black and white and throw a little bit of blur in there. And this window right here, what I did was took a picture of a street And then I put it into black and white and then just corner pin that right in there too. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add an adjustment layer with the levels. So I just crushed the blacks, you know, nothing too crazy. Alright, so now when we layer our colors on top and everything, it's going to work a little bit better. The first thing we're going to do is let's color in these bricks. Layer, new, solid. We're going to go with a dark red. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And grab the pen tool. Mark out across the brick wall. Okay. Now you can go through all these blending modes till you find the right one for your shot. But more times than not, soft light's going to be the one that works the best. So what we're going to do is turn the opacity down a little bit. So I took the opacity down about 70, 65, 70. Alright. Layer, new, solid. So we'll turn it off. And just like before, we're going to mask it. Alright. Soft light, like I told you before, usually works. Alright, so I went ahead and added this bottom ledge in the same exact way we did the top. New solid, like a whitish, grayish, off-white. And then mask it out. Change the blending mode to soft light. I also did the same thing with these bottom bricks down here. Kind of like a brownish, darkish red. Same blending mode, soft light. Also, one other thing I did real quick was I cut this lady's hair out. Because remember we added the white solid and it was covering up half her face, so I just cut her hair out. The same with his hands right here. I just cut them out. You might have to make some changes throughout the timeline. Move them around a little bit. Keyframe them. Alright, what's left from here is we gotta paint the faces. So, let's go with layer, new solid. Something with a skin tone color. You can change the color later. Let's go ahead and turn it off so we can see what we're masking. Make sure you have the timeline at the very beginning, because we're going to have to move the solid around as the head moves around and keyframe it. Alright, so let's go ahead and mask out this guy's face. Alright, and let's go ahead and feather that. Quite a bit, maybe 7 pixels. Let's turn it back on. Alright, it looks pretty funny. So let's go over to the blending modes. Soft light seems to do the trick. Now, he's a little too orange, so let's bring down the opacity. So we brought the opacity down to about 70. And now we need to move the head around as the head moves in the shot. So go ahead and click position, move to about the middle, and then we're just going to drag the solid over. Sometimes you'll have to move the mask points. Alright, so we'll do that again. Go to the very end of the clip. Move his head, or move the solid. See, on this one we'll probably have to move the mask points a little bit. Mask path is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to move some of these mask points. So make sure you keyframe them. Alright, that looks good. The guy is still a little too orange, so I'm going to bring the opacity down to 65. We'll mess with the opacities later. You'll fine tune that. Cool. Alright, looks pretty good. Alright, so we need to do the same exact steps on these other two faces. And since it's the same exact step, I'm just going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. Alright, so there's the girl's face. I gave her a little bit lighter solid. So for this guy over here, he's a little bit darker solid. Alright, that looks good. What we need to do now is the tie, the hands, this little piece of her dress right here. We're going to give it a little bit of color. Alright, so we're going to do his tie next. It could be any color you want, but I think I'm going to go with a reddish color. So layer new solid, dark red. Alright, so we're going to turn it off. And we're going to mask it out around his tie. So get out the pen tool and mask it around. Alright, we have it masked. Go ahead, just like before, blending mode, soft light. We got to bring the opacity down though because it's way too saturated. So we'll bring it down to maybe 40. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this guy's hands. Layer new solid. About the same color as the guy's face. Maybe a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. Alright, so let's turn it off. And now we're just going to mask around his hands. We just need to bring the opacity down a little bit. Alright, so we're going to do the same exact thing for this guy's hand. So just keep in mind, you're going to have to move stuff around and keyframe. Alright, one of the last things is the dress, her dress. All I did was brought up a blue solid and did the same exact steps as before. Just not much, but it brings a little bit of life into it. Oh yeah, the windows. Let's give the windows a little bit of tint. I went with just a very light blue tint. Masked out the windows. All it really did is made them darker. So that works. And let's see. What else do we have? I think that's it. So this is JH doing a tutorial for aetuts.com. I will see you guys later.